of the Soder Report. My name is Kyle Soder, and I am the host on this channel. Today we're going to be talking about the San Francisco Giants' recent losing streak, with them going 5 of their last 6 the day after I finally said that they were a good team. So we're going to get into that, and we're going to do it next. I wish I could hear my intro because it gets me pumped up when I hear it, but when I play it on here I can watch it but I can't hear it, so I can't get pumped up from my intro. It's too bad. Anyway, the San Francisco Giants have lost 5 of their past 6 games. And there's been sort of a theme, but it's really been all over the place. A lot of people are talking about how bad the San Francisco Giants bats have been. First, before we get into that, head on over to Elite Cacao Supplements. You can see their logo right there. www.elitecacao.com. Get your memory enhancing, mood boosting, and energizing supplements today. Each purchase also helps support a Ghanaian farmer in need. Now we're going to get into the Giants. What I think of the Giants over the past 6 games. So they've lost 5 of their past 6. They got swept by the Twins in Minnesota after coming off a series win against the Cubs. They then came back to San Francisco, where they played a 3-game series against the Diamondbacks, and they lost 2 of 3 from them. So the Twins, it sucks to get swept, but it's an AL team, so it doesn't really matter. But the Diamondbacks, they're in your division, so them beating you 2-1, you could have buried them. You could have buried them down there in 4th place, but the Giants are letting them right in through the front door. So, in these 6 games, a lot has been made of the San Francisco Giants lineup not scoring runs, and for good reason. In 3 of these 6 games, the Giants have only managed to score 1 run. They did so in the first 2 games of the Twins series and the first game of the Diamondbacks series. In the first game of the Diamondbacks series, of course, the Giants got outscored by Corbin Carroll on his own. So the Giants, they have some issues with their hitting lineup. And that's a little bit surprising to me, since I've been talking a lot about their pitching rotation, talking about how concerned I am with their pitching rotation and how I think their rotation's going to wear down. But right now, it's the Giants' hitters that aren't coming through. Aside from Heliot Ramos, of course. He went 2 for 4 today. Wilmer Flores had 2 hits today. Jung-Hoo Lee seems to be heating back up. Matt Chapman, he had a good game today, but he hasn't been hitting well as of late. He's been striking out 26% of the time. So that's a little bit concerning to see out of a guy like Matt Chapman. And then with Willy Adames, he seemed to be coming out of his slump. He got a hit today. He's hitting a lot of balls hard, so we'll continue to monitor him, but his first 40-game sample size was not very good with the San Francisco Giants. So I expect his average to come back up. I expect his power to come up. I expect Willy Adames to be a good player for them this season. However, right now, so far in his tenure with the Giants, he hasn't been playing that well. Luis Matos has been in the lineup a few games. I think 3 of these 6 games he's been in the lineup. And he has not played very well. I don't think he got a hit in any of those 3 games. You guys know how much I love him. The reality is he hasn't played very good. And I think that Bob Melvin has to share some of that blame. I talked quite a bit last time about how I think the Giants sort of pour a fire extinguisher on him whenever he starts to get hot. Remember the last 2 games of the Rockies series, the first game of the Cubs series. He was 4 for 9 in those 3 games with 2 walks, and then he was on the bench for 6 consecutive days. So it's sort of like he's getting his timing back almost. It's just common in a young player, and it's unfortunate that he's being handled the way he's being handled. But with the opportunities he gets, he has to come through. Patrick Bailey has been playing horrendous so far. He's striking out more than 32% of the time when he comes to the plate. Let's actually talk more about him later. Let me bookmark Patrick Bailey. Let's talk about him right there. So we'll talk about Patrick Bailey more. Sam Huff, he's just a backup catcher. Not a lot of expectation. Mike Yastrzemski, he's been playing well this season so far. And he's been playing well over the past 6 games. So he's not the issue here. David Villar, he went 1 for 2 today. He's playing even less than Luis Matos is right now. So it's got to be tough on him as well. However, David Villar has had more opportunity to prove himself as a major league player. So if he's not getting playing time, I just don't see the upside with David Villar the way I see it with Luis Matos. That's why I'm not talking about David Villar being on the bench. With Lamont Wade Jr., he was 0 for 0. He's had a horrendous start to the season, and there might be some help on the way. We're going to get into that news as well. And then Christian Koss, he's been holding up okay. He went 1 for 4. And so with this batting order, it certainly has its highs and it has its lows. You have Heliot Ramos and you have Jung-Hoo Lee, but you also have Patrick Bailey and Lamont Wade Jr. So you're not going to have all 9 guys hitting well at the same time. You're not going to have all 9 guys slumping at the same time. However, half of these games, the Giants were only able to score 1 run. And don't blame it on jet lag. Don't blame it on lack of sleep. Don't make excuses for any of these, because this has been happening for a full season. It's been happening quite a bit. The San Francisco Giants aren't a team that hits for great average. They aren't a team that hits for great power. I think they're something like 5% below major league average in terms of offensive production. So they are a below average hitting team. But their pitching has been what's supposed to keep them in games. And unfortunately, some of the pitchers haven't been doing their job. So, Jordan Hicks. It is May 14th, and Jordan Hicks has an ERA above 6. Just give me his full stats. Come on. He has an ERA above 6. This experiment with him trying to be a starting pitcher has been going on for this is year 2. So he had an off season to try to get into starting pitcher shape. He had a season to experience being a starting pitcher. He had an off season to make adjustments. And now here we are again. And Jordan Hicks, unlike last year, has not started the year very good. He has a 6.55 ERA. He's 1-5. I know that doesn't matter that much, but he just hasn't been pitching well. His previous 5 starts, he's given up 3 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 5 earned runs, 5 earned runs in 7 innings, 5 innings, 5 innings, 5 innings, 6 innings. So he's not going deep into games for the most part. He had that 7-inning game against the Phillies. And he's allowing quite a few runs. So, what do I think about Jordan Hicks? Should he be in the rotation? Should he be in the bullpen? When should the San Francisco Giants make a move? My opinion on Jordan Hicks is he has really good stuff. He has really good velocity. He has very good location. However, it's just not coming together as a starter right now. If you look at his Fangraphs page, his expected ERA is about 3.55. So what that means is, as a starting pitcher, the quality of contact that hitters are hitting off of him is not very good. Let me restart. The expected ERA takes into account quality of contact against him, his stuff, meaning how much movement is on his pitches, how hard it is to hit. It takes into account his location. So all of those things combined, they expect that Jordan Hicks looks like, he smells like, and he feels like a 3.5 ERA pitcher. But it just hasn't been the case so far, and it's May 14th. So I had some concerns with Jordan Hicks holding up for a full season. He was one of the guys I was concerned with. I was concerned about Justin Verlander as well. I was also concerned about Landon Roop holding up for a full season. But if you remember last year, Jordan Hicks started off the season as the Giants' best pitcher. He was incredible to start last season, and he wore down because his arm got fatigued. He added 14 pounds of muscle in the offseason. That's great. I don't really know what that means for his endurance, but you could probably expect him to wear down sometime at the end of the season, especially since last year he started wearing down in June. So my opinion on Hicks is he's been given a long leash. He's been given quite a bit of opportunity to try to make something happen with the opportunity he's been given. He's been given more than enough starts to start to stabilize the ERA. And he still has an ERA up in the mid sixes. So I think it's time to move him to the bullpen. If not now, then within the next couple weeks if he doesn't start showing something. And you have two really good young starters in the bullpen ready to come in and be a starting pitcher in the major leagues. Kyle Harrison is ready and Hayden Birdsong is ready. Hayden Birdsong is probably first up in that list. And if he can just give you better than a 6.5 ERA, then he's an improvement from Jordan Hicks. And Jordan Hicks, he doesn't need to go to the bullpen and be the closer. He just needs to go in there. He can even be a long reliever if you really want him to keep throwing an extended amount of innings. You can make him the 8th inning, the setup guy. You can make him whatever you want in the bullpen. Honestly speaking, at this point where Jordan Hicks has been training to be a starting pitcher for a year and a half at this point, I don't know what he gives you in the bullpen, to be quite honest. I don't think it's fair to expect him to be St. Louis Cardinals Jordan Hicks. I don't think it's fair to expect him to be an all-star closer. If it's there, then that solves the closer problem for the Giants, but I wouldn't expect it to be there. So if he goes to the bullpen and he can carve out some sort of role for himself, then great. The Giants' number 1 ERA bullpen just got even better. So going to the next pitcher that I had concerns about coming into the season, that is Justin Verlander. He's been absolutely electric the past few starts. I believe his ERA over the past 5 starts is 2.78. He came out on what day was that? Monday. He went 6 innings. He started the 7th, but he didn't get an out in the 7th. He gave up 2 solo homers to Corbin Carroll, and that was it. Those were the only 2 runs that he allowed that whole game. And the Giants ended up losing 2-1. But Justin Verlander is pitching extremely well over his past 5 starts. You can see here, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. Yeah. 6 and a third innings, 2 earned runs. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run. So 4 out of the 5 starts have been quality starts. And he just hasn't he still doesn't have a win on this season, which is it's funny it's kind of sad, but it's kind of funny at the same time. But Justin Verlander pitching extremely well over the past few games. ERA at 4.3, but he's been pitching well. So no concerns from me about Justin Verlander. Now let's get into Christian Koss. Tyler Fitzgerald has gone down with a rib fracture, and his return, I don't even know when he's supposed to return. But it's up in the air how long the San Francisco Giants are going to need Christian Koss to hold down the fort at second base. And he's actually holding up pretty well. He's performing well. He hit a grand slam in yesterday's game that really propelled the Giants to their only win in this 6-game stretch. So he's hitting 250 and he's hitting 500 with runners in scoring position. So Christian Koss, I don't expect him to be a guy that comes up and takes a starting spot. He's 27 years old and this is his first shot at the big leagues. So I don't really expect him to do a whole lot, but if he can hold down the fort for however many weeks until Tyler Fitzgerald gets back, then that's great. So hopefully Tyler Fitzgerald can have a speedy recovery and Christian Koss can get back to a bench role. I think that's where he's best, is at a bench role. If we need a pinch runner, if we need to throw in a good defensive fielder, I think that's where Christian Koss is at his best. I don't think he's at his best as a major league starter, but he's doing good enough for now. But Patrick Bailey is not doing anything close to good enough right now. He's striking out 32% of the time. He's hitting 165 or something like that. And it's just, I think that the way that Patrick Bailey claimed a roster spot is, it sort of signals to me what was wrong with the previous regime. Patrick Bailey was a Farhan Zaidi draft pick. He was picked in the first round. And remember, at first when he was picked, everyone was wondering why the San Francisco Giants took a catcher when they already had Joey Bart. And Joey Bart, he was sniffing the big leagues. He hadn't quite gotten there. He didn't end up getting there with the Giants, but Patrick Bailey getting drafted was a little bit of a shock. And he came up way faster than everyone expected. And when he got called up to the major leagues, he went on this crazy rampage where he was throwing a bunch of players out. And everyone started thinking that he was the best defensive catcher in the major leagues. And maybe he is one of the best defensive catchers in the major leagues. But if you're hitting in the 160s, that's not it's just not playable. I don't care how good of a pitch framer you are. I don't care that you threw some people out 2 years ago. You have to hit better than 165. And another thing to consider with Patrick Bailey is the reason why, when you look at advanced stats for catcher defensive metrics, the metric that holds the most volume when it comes to calculating how good of a defensive player a catcher is his pitch framing. That's what comes into play the most. And Patrick Bailey is the best pitch framer in the major leagues. And he also throws some guys out. So there's that. But his blocking ability is below average. He's not a very good blocker when it comes to pitches, and we've seen that he's a below average hitter. I'm starting to wonder, with the ABS system on the rise, how is that going to affect Patrick Bailey's worth? The ABS challenge system is probably going to be in the major leagues next year. So, hitters, if Patrick Bailey sets up on the outside corner, the pitcher throws it 2 inches off the outside, and Patrick Bailey frames it, the hitter can just they'll have a challenge and it'll be a ball. So it's probably going to have a little bit of an effect, not a lot. But I really worry when the ABS system progresses to a full automated strike zone, because then pitch framing has zero worth. And Patrick Bailey's biggest strength is completely nullified. And then you're just left with a guy who can throw people out. He has a strong arm. So Patrick Bailey is a concern for being a future player for this team. I don't know if you Sharpie him into the Giants' long-term plans. I don't know if he's a part of that. Hopefully he is. Hopefully I'm wrong about that. But with the way he's hitting right now and with the way technology is trending, it's trending in a way that's going to take away his greatest strength. He's going to be fighting left-handed once the fully automated strike zone comes out. So there's that to just consider. It's not an issue right now. It's probably going to be a small issue next year. But what does this look like 3 years from now? Last on this podcast, we're going to get to Jerar Encarnacion starting his rehab assignment. So, Jerar Encarnacion, I believe he started his rehab on the 10th. And I heard that he went 4 for 9, 4 for 11, something like that. He came back in his first week. He did well in AAA. Jerar Encarnacion, he was originally slated to be the DH for this team. However, he can also play right field and first base. When Jerar Encarnacion comes back, I would hope that he takes over that first base spot. Because LaMonte Wade Jr. isn't cutting it anymore. Ever since he came back from his hamstring issue last year, he hasn't been hitting very well. He hasn't been playing very well. He doesn't contribute on the bases. He doesn't steal bases. He doesn't play great defense. He's just been atrocious everywhere. And I know that fans were really excited about Late Night Lamont back in 2021. But Late Night Lamont just hasn't showed up for the past almost a calendar year now. So it's starting to look bleak for LaMonte Wade Jr. He hasn't played every game, but he's pretty close to a 40-game sample size, and he's still hitting in the 100s. So with Pat Bailey, there's not a catcher behind him challenging him, but at first base, there is a guy behind LaMonte Wade Jr. challenging him. And if Jerar Encarnacion can hit better than 157, then he's going to be an upgrade over LaMonte Wade Jr. at first base. If he can run the bases at an average speed, if he's not a blockade in front of some speedy base runner. So Jerar Encarnacion, whenever he comes back, he doesn't need to do a lot to be an upgrade over LaMonte Wade Jr. So Hopefully he's back soon. Hopefully he's back quickly. Anyways, that's going to do it for our show tonight. It's pretty short show. I want to get into some Brock Purdy contract talk. I want to get into the San Francisco 49ers schedule dropping. And I also want to get into the latest news on Oregon Ducks recruiting. But that'll all be for another day. Hopefully that'll be for a day soon, as I haven't found a whole lot of time to do this podcast as of late. I'm applying to the supply chain program at my university. I've got a 7-week-old baby at home, 8 weeks now. So it's been pretty busy around here. But that'll do it all. Please like and subscribe if you would like to see more consistent content. Thank you very much, everyone, for the help. Have a wonderful day.